The other day, I was thinking about the three things I value most in the people around me. They are honesty, cinta, and gezelligheid. Cinta is the Indonesian word for love. The word gezellig doesn't exist in the English language, which is very strange because in Dutch we use this word all the time. It basically means good times with family and friends. With that in mind, there are a few people I would like to thank in particular. Firstly, I would like to thank Michelle and Dave for raising their brilliant son and for accepting me into their family. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming to Bali to make our dream wedding come true. I say our dream wedding. But had Steve met a nice, down-to-earth, normal Kiwi girl, perhaps he would not have gotten married on a custom floating stage on top of a pool during a 6-day production. And perhaps she would not have demanded everyone she knew fly halfway across the world to celebrate their love. Michelle and Dave, I will never forget the first time I met you. I had only just moved to New Zealand and was hopelessly in love with your son. Steve invited me to come home with him for Christmas to introduce me to his parents. I was nervous to meet you and eager to make a good impression. So I got my nails and my hair done, and I bought a fabulous new yellow dress. The neighbors were also invited for Christmas. At one point, the neighbor was talking about his son's ex-girlfriend. He said, she was a nice girl. She was just normal, you know. She would come over straight from milking the cows, wouldn't shower, and would join for dinner. She was normal. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, uh-oh. My manicure is not gonna cut it. Perhaps I should learn how to milk a cow. So I did. Because funnily enough, traditionally in the Indonesian culture, a special ceremony takes place where the bride's parents give the groom's parents a cow. Basically, as a thank you for the bride now being their problem. So with no further ado, Britty is now bringing out my mom's sacrificial cow, and I'm going to give a small demonstration. I'm joking. I don't think I'd ever be able to impress you with my cow milking skills, but I hope I can impress you with my love for your son and as the mother of your grandchildren. I promise I will try my hardest to raise our boys to grow up as wonderful as yours. Steve's friends. Steve is a loyal man who is still best friends with his mates from high school. I always say to Steve, your friends are one of your best qualities. Steve and his friends went to boarding school together in rural New Zealand. And according to them, this is what shaped them to be red-blooded Kiwi males. Before I moved to New Zealand, I had never heard of this special species of men. I have now learned a red-blooded kiwi male is just a normal male who thinks he's tough. But a red-blooded kiwi male likes to go fishing, watch rugby, drink beers, and eat red meat from the barbecue. So for our first date in New Zealand, Steve took me fishing. We watched the All Blacks play rugby. He cooked a steak on the barbecue and we drank beer. Our date nights have changed. Our date nights have changed since then. But the barbecue dinner parties with Steve's friends happen almost every weekend. Steve's friends and their wives, especially our MCs tonight, Matt and Wes, they have become like family to me. Matt, Wes, Rose, Gigi, and Priya. Every single time you and all your good vibes come through our gate when we will eat Steve's delicious food and we watch our children grow up together. This is the definition of the word gezelligheid. My beautiful bridesmaids. My new Auckland friends have only ever known a version of me with Steve by my side. I think they could not even imagine a version of me without Steve. I'll tell you now, it wasn't great. Living in Sydney, over 30, single, surrounded by these glamazons, my biological clock ticking away, I was slowly losing the plot. So to my beautiful bridesmaids, thank you for sticking by me through my crazy years. I hope you know that your friendship and you being here means everything to me. The fact that I now have to catch a flight to see you is the one thing in my life that makes me really sad. The one person who has suffered through my crazy years the most is my maid of honor, Bonnie. Bonnie has been my best friend / personal therapist since we were 16 years old. We met through our boyfriends in high school. Bonnie married our high school boyfriend. I had a few boyfriends in between. Our friendship works because we are opposites in many ways. Bonnie is easygoing, selfless, and not a crazy control freak. And Bonnie is the type of person, no matter what you tell her, her brain automatically goes into overdrive thinking of ways how she can help you. And Bonnie is the type of person that as long as she is at your party, everyone is having a good time. Because the one thing we do have in common is that we love gezelligheid. We love a drink and we love to party. And of course, if it wasn't for Bonnie organizing her wedding here in Bali 5 years ago, I never would have met Steve. Bonnie was the first one of all my friends to meet Steve. And obviously, Steve has never minded the package deal. Even though Bonnie lives on the other side of the world, she is involved in all our major life decisions. Steve is not an emotional person, but I am a woman and I need to talk about my emotions sometimes. Steve's solution to this disconnect is that he calls Bonnie, he passes the phone to me, and then he goes for a 3-hour bike ride. Konnichiwa. No one in this world knows me better than you do. Thank you for letting me experience what it's like to go through life with a friend that unconditionally has my back. And thank you for all the times you've held back my hair. We are not sisters by blood, or we are sisters by choice. When I had just moved to Auckland, I started a new job where I had to fill out some questions to introduce myself to the rest of the team. One of the questions was, what is the best thing that ever happened to you? I thought this was such a lovely question, so I really wanted to think about my answer. So I did. And then I wrote, the best thing that ever happened to me is that I was born into this world as my mother's daughter. Because I believe that everything else good that has happened in my life since then was a direct result of the love and support that she and my dad soaked into my veins from the day that I was born. The first time I was pregnant, people kept saying to me, the very first time you hold your baby in your arms, you will be overcome with a kind of love you never knew existed. The day Boston was born, this never happened for me. Don't get me wrong. Both my babies are the purest form of joy I have in my life. It's just that I have been on the receiving end of this endlessly overflowing fountain of mother love all my life. I knew exactly how I would feel. The kindness that shines out of my mom's heart lights up every room. Her generosity to everyone around her is almost confusing. The only thing that my mom ever cares about is that everyone around her is having a gezellige time. I think everyone here knows my mom is a remarkable human. But what not everyone knows is that my mom is also incredibly messy. And if there is anything I say in my speech tonight that makes you want to cry, it should be the state of my mother's fridge. Of course, if it hadn't been for my parents' complete lack of basic housekeeping, I probably never would have started my dream business of organizing people's lives. So thank you, Mama. There's nothing in this world I am more grateful for than the happy life that you and Papa have carved for Mama and I. Thank you for every day of my life, making us feel that you are proud of us. And thank you for setting the example of the kind of relationship I hope I will have with my children as you created with yours. They say you can't choose your family, but if I could have chosen, I would have chosen you. Now, the other best thing that ever happened to me. This is my wedding, so I can have two. My chinta. They say a girl marries someone like her dad. Now, my dad could be incredibly unreasonable. He was irritable. He had no patience. He had a huge ego. He loved seeing his name in the paper. And my dad was always going to be his own boss because my dad did not like being told what to do. But my dad was a man, an honest and honorable man. A man who everyone would come to if they were in trouble. A man with a fire inside of him. A man whose drive and work ethic led him further in his career at the age of 25 than most people will be in a lifetime. My dad was a phenomenal man and father. And nothing was more important to him than his family. So yes, one could say there are some similarities. Steve and I met here in Bali, and we moved in together 3 months later. I know what you're all thinking. Cliche story, big white guy goes to Asia and comes back with a bride. People ask me if it was love at first sight. No, it was not. Steve looks very handsome tonight, but Steve did not look like that the night we met. We met around 1 a.m. at Surga Villa nightclub in Seminyak. I don't remember everything. But thanks to Steve's friend, there is some photo evidence of me pinned up against a wall where we had our first kiss. I can stand here and tell you, Steve was the most thoughtful, caring, and romantic man I had ever met. But, as I said, honesty is important to me. For the 3 months following our Surga Villa encounter, we spent about 2 hours a day on the phone. And I fell in love with the way Steve speaks. It has been 5 years now, and Steve can still make me melt with his words. Overhearing Steve communicate to our little boys is one of my greatest joys in life. Steve's beautiful way of stringing together the words in his vocabulary makes him win arguments even when he doesn't have the truth on his side. Which, I guess, is great for a defense lawyer, but somewhat of a questionable quality in a husband. 5 years ago, I went into my first argument with Steve completely blind. I knew that I was right and that he was wrong, but somehow he flipped it. And we finished the argument with me apologizing to Steve. My Chinta, every morning when I wake up next to you, and every evening when you come home from work and Boston flies into your arms, I still pinch myself how happy I am in life. Everything is better because I have you, Boston, and Cooper. And my mom, of course. You are not just my husband. You are my home. You are my source of confidence. You are my everything. They say you can't choose your family, but it's not true because I chose you. So I guess the last person I want to thank is myself. For choosing my perfect match in life. Now to end, let me say something to my family and friends in my own language. Alle gekheid op een stokje, gezelligheid kent geen tijd. Wie niet waagt, wie niet wint, de aap komt uit de mouw, ik hou van jou. And I'll just translate that. Run and get out of here before the Kiwis get drunk.